I am RAZIEL.
What is up, guys? RAZIEL here again, and we've had a lot of information as of today when the embargo lifted for the content creators that were invited to the event. Finally got to release their videos. Obviously, I wasn't invited to the event because I'm not creative enough, apparently. No, I'm just kidding. It's because I'm not big enough, and you know what? No sweat off my sack. I don't really care. But there's been a lot of information about every single job that we've gotten, about some systems that have come out. And I wanted to briefly talk and share my opinions on some of them. Some of the ones that are most important to me anyway. So this is going to be a more audio type video. If you know, there will be some shit up on the screen, as you can see now in the background. But it's not important that you're watching, more so that you're listening about. If you're interested at all in what I think about what's coming in Shadowbringers here in less than a month. Less than a month from now, we get early access for this game. So I'm really fucking stoked. I'm really pumped. But I thought I would, you know, share my opinion about some of the more important stuff to me anyway. I'm not going to go through every detail of, you know, every job, everything I like, everything I don't like. Because I don't play every job, so I'll briefly touch on the jobs I do play if I have something to say about it. But anyway, let's just get right into it. Cut the bullshit. Let's go. So the first off, I want to talk about the Dark Knight changes. I think it's very, very, very good, and it's the Dark Knight changes. A lot of things have not really gone away that we thought had gone away. For example, dark arts and dark side actually aren't gone. They're just different. They're mechanics that function differently, and to how they were described in a bunch of the information we got, I think it's a lot better. It's a lot, you know, less micromanaging. It's still going to be essential as any tank or any job to manage your mana, especially with Dark Knight. Still, that's not going away, but you're not going to be having to weave dark arts between every other button you press, essentially, is how it is in the game right now. So again, I'm not going to have a 100% opinion of if I think it's going to be I like it completely until I play it, but from what I've seen, from the footage that I saw, the animations look great, and from the content creators that have played it, actually got a chance to play it at this point, they say it's not as good as Heaven's Word Dark Knight, which that's hard to top, to be that good, but feels a lot better and a lot more fun than it does in Stormblood right now. And you know what? I'm really happy with how it is even right now in Stormblood. So I've always mained Dark, as I say, always, you know, and I'll get to this a little later in the video. Fuck the meta. I've always just played Dark ever since Heaven's Word released. I don't play meta jobs for flavor of the month or flavor of the week or what have you. I just enjoy the class, and so I long ago decided that unless they completely fucked it up and Dark Knight became unfun for me, I was going to main it regardless of how powerful it was in the game, and I still plan on maining Dark Knight. The changes that before I go into the changes to Samurai, because that's the main DPS that I play, my feelings on that, I'm going to talk about tanks overall. I think I would be so bold as to make the opinion that the tank discrepancy is going to be the smallest it has ever been in Shadowbringers. Having viewed all the changes and all the new information about Gunbreaker, about Warrior, Paladin, and Dark Knight, I think they're all really well balanced. It looks like Dark Knight and Warrior are going to be the ones pushing a little bit more damage, but Paladin still seems to be king of utility. And another great change that I saw is all the tanks now are going to have arm's length, so that's really great. We've been, as a Dark Knight main, I've been wanting a knockback prevention for a long time, and we're finally getting it. But I'll get into more into that in a little bit. I want to talk about Samurai next, and Samurai didn't receive a whole lot of changes. They only got 2 new abilities and only lost like 2 abilities. I mean, all DPS lost a fair share when it comes to roll actions, but I really like the changes done to Samurai, and I like that they didn't change the class too much, because I love how Samurai plays right now. I think it's the most fun melee DPS job in the game. To be fair, only other melee I played is Dragoon. I haven't played Monk at all. So, but we'll, you know, again, we'll see how it feels and how it plays. So anyway, now that I got the 2 jobs I made out of the way, I dabble in Ninja a bit, and the changes to Ninja I think are really, really, really good. I love what they've done with it. If you want all the details, I'll make sure all the exact changes are in other videos or other content creators. I'm not going to go into every single detail about every single difference in the job. I'll get more into that when it launches, and I make, you know, a rotation guide for Dark and Sam and things like that. But as of now, the details are all out there. You can get your hands on them pretty easily. It's pretty readily available, so stop being fucking lazy. But I want to talk about the trust system. Now, this is something was pretty nervous about when they announced it. As you can, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I was pretty nervous about the trust system, thinking that it could undermine the MMO aspect of an MMORPG. And I'm thankful to say, from what the footage information we have about trusts now, it's cool. I mean, your trust is a little better than your squadron, but you can only do current level story dungeons with your trust. So if you're a DPS, you don't want to wait, you know, 20-30 minutes for a queue. It's a slow day. You don't have to. You can use your trust system, but you're not going to get through the dungeon as fast as you would with a party, or if your party sucks real bad, is slow. So I think the trust system, as I understand it now, is going to be very beneficial for players that, you know, they only have a half hour to an hour a day, and they want to hop in, and their main job is DPS, and they want to get through the leveling content. They don't have to sit in a queue forever. I think it's really good. The other thing I wanted to touch on is there's a lot of ranting and raving and people complaining right now and are worried about healers now being more pure healers as opposed to how they are in the game now, where in Stormblood it's healers are like they're DPSing just as hard, not numbers wise, but the best healers are just DPSing their asses off, and then will rush in at the last second, throw some heals and some shields and some heal over times, and then can go back to their DPS rotation. And Yoshi P wanted to shift that up. I think tanks damage is going up. Obviously, DPS are still going to be doing a lot of DPS to make up for that. But the rumor that, okay, all you're going to do is heal as a healer, and the image that's all that's going to be done is totally, completely not true. I think even White Mage's level 80 ability is a DPS ability. If I remember right, one of their top tier abilities is a huge damage ability. So you'll still do DPS. Yoshi P said he still wants the DPS as healers to be very important and to help out. You're not just going to be sitting there, you know, on your hands with your thumb up your ass, just waiting for someone to take damage so you can throw heals out. How much DPS you put out can accelerate, dungeon runs. It can, as a healer, it can, do that last cutoff so your group makes the enrage timer on progression fights in savage mode. So I think it's still going to be very important, and Yoshi P says it's still going to be very important. But to also make it compensate, I think, from what people have said, other creators have said, you take a little bit more. Everyone takes a little bit more damage now in all content. In group content anyway. So healers are going to be much more on their toes, have more of a role in healing, essentially. So I think we'll have to see how it plays out. I don't play a healer. I never have played a healer in an MMO. But I know there are some people, concerned, but I think we should lay it to rest and we should see when we get our hands on it ourselves and form our opinions then of if it's good, if it's bad, if it's fine, whatever. I want to talk a bit about role actions. I was under the impression for a while before the embargo lift that role actions were just going away completely, that they weren't going to be a thing at all anymore, which is not true. But a lot of them have been removed. And some jobs, like I said earlier, tanks now get arm's length. They got some. All the tanks will still get, the 20% damage reduction cooldown rampart and things like that. So I think ultimately, but a lot of them are going away. So I think that's good. There were a lot of job actions that, on the role actions that were kind of useless and no one ever really used, and it became a huge pain in the ass swapping them out for others because You know, your hotbars only have so much room. I think the roll actions in Stormblood really added to the ability of bloat, especially after they made it where you were just given all of them. You didn't have to choose 5. You could have all the abilities that are available to your roll. So now that they've drastically reduced that to maybe in between 3 and 5 abilities per roll instead of the 10 plus that it was in Stormblood, I think that's ultimately going to be really good for everybody. You know, I mean, they've adjusted cooldowns on the one they've kept. They've altered what some of them do, and they've added some that should have been on a roll in the first place, and kept some others. So Shirk's still there, things like that. So again, we're gonna have to see how it plays out. But overall, I'm happy with what they did with the roll actions, because it's kind of it makes sense now that you kind of have to keep the roll actions, you know, with you, as opposed to constantly picking in between them or trying to bake them into class abilities, because then if you have abilities that are doing too many things at once, it becomes a problem. So I think the roll action changes have been very good. Another big thing I wanted to point it out that is information that we got today is all the Savage final bosses and all the Savage tiers this expansion have had like a gatekeeper boss. So for example, you beat Kefka and it becomes God Kefka. You fight X-Death and he becomes, you know, the huge X-Death. Same with Omega Weapon. You fight M&F and then it turns into, you know, the big giant tentacle Omega Weapon, you know, big shadow creature, whatever the fuck it is. So they said that was interesting, but they're not going to do that anymore for final bosses in Savage tiers, because it becomes a huge pain in the ass and almost a waste of time when you're progressing and you've beaten many times, you know, the gatekeeper boss that gives no loot for beating. It just adds a checkpoint to where now you have to fight a whole nother boss. And if you end up in a bad group and you can't get through, you know, the opening boss, the gatekeeper boss that week because, you know, you keep getting in shit groups or what have you, it becomes very discouraging to just have a boss that's there to check to see if you can even fight the real boss. So they said they're going to do something different though this time around, something that isn't a gatekeeper boss but also has never been done before in a Savage tier in Final Fantasy. So I'm really interested to see what they do. I have the utmost amount of faith in Yoshi P and his team's ideas of trying something new and making it interesting. One thing I can definitely give a huge amount of credit for to Square and Final Fantasy XIV is that I can't say about any other MMO company is they're not afraid to take risks and to try something new, even if they fall flat on their fucking face and it turns out to be shit, i.e. a lot of Eureka. Ultimately, it's going to be they're not afraid to try something new. So I'm really excited to see what they do with Savage Mode, because I'm going to be hitting Savage Mode pretty goddamn hard once it's released. Now here's the other huge point I wanted to talk about in this video. If you've made it this far, congratulations, pat yourself on the back. If you didn't, go fuck yourself. But a lot of people are complaining. I mean, not a lot, but there are quite a few vocal people out there that, you know, Square ruined my job, Square did this, you know, my job's fucking shit now, I don't like it, but they haven't even touched the class yet. Or, you know, this and this and this are definitely going to be meta, so now I have to roll one of those jobs. It's all horseshit, guys. Fuck the meta. Fuck it. Like, the meta doesn't matter. In all of Final Fantasy's history, the meta has only mattered in parse groups and has only mattered in you know, clearing something faster by maybe 10%. 10% faster time, which is not significant. How Final Fantasy is designed and how it worked all in Stormblood, even when people were saying Dark Knight was shit, you know, Machinist was shit, White Mage was shit. Even when all that was going on, you could literally have any composition of group and still clear the content. I mean, hell, I cleared a Savage Mode once when there were 4 samurai. That was all the DPS, so we were getting no raid buffs. It's possible. So if you're in that mindset, get out of it. Get out of the mindset. Don't worry about meta. Don't worry about that shit, because the bottom line is Square is really quick about changing things. They don't have a beta. They've never, outside of A Realm Reborn, they've never beta tested any of their expansions. So they need more data information to get balanced just right. I mean, look at Stormblood for an example. When Stormblood came out, Warrior was the worst tank in Stormblood, the absolute worst, and it was unfun to play. No one liked playing it, and the job was shit, essentially. It just didn't... How they had Warriors on paper worked in Stormblood, but in practice it failed miserably. So, and within the first 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, Warrior was reworked and patched, and became the best tank in the expansion and remained that way for the arguably the best tank in the game for the entire 2 years of Stormblood's lifespan. So Square's really quick about fixing things. If you're vocal because something's not fun, or you're vocal because something feels underpowered, they're going to address it, and they're going to address it quickly. They want players to enjoy whatever job they want. They don't want a job to not be brought to things because it's not good enough. And they also don't want one job or 2 jobs to drastically be overpowered and outshine everything. So be ready for those balanced patches in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the game when Shadowbringers launches. You know, just roll with the fucking punches. Don't be a pussy. Don't be a bitch. Play what you enjoy. If you had a job in mind that you're like, I'm going to main that when Shadowbringers comes out, whether it was Dancer or Gunbreaker because they're new, or a job you've mained forever, and that's still going to be your main, or you said, you know what, I've always played as a melee DPS, I played as Monk since A Realm Reborn, I'm going to be a fucking Scholar this time around, right? Whatever the case may be, stick to it and give it a shot. See if you have fun, because guys, that's way more important. How much fun a DPS is to play is way more important than how much damage you do. How much you enjoy playing a specific healer is way more important than your healing output compared to the other two. Same with tanks. Like, you have to play something that's fun, not what people tell you to play, not what, you know, any content creator says sucks so you don't play it. Fuck all that, okay? Don't, you know, fuck what I say about what's the best and what's the worst, and fuck what everybody else says. Do what you enjoy. Play what you have fun with. And it may take some bouncing around between jobs to really find your niche, to really find the job that you're like, okay, this is me, this is my job. I found that since Heaven's Word and Dark Knight, and for my DPS in A Realm Reborn, I Black Mage, and ever since Samurai came out, I've switched to that, and I've loved Samurai as far as my alt job, my DPS job. So I'm going to stick with Dark and Sam. I'm obviously am going to level up Gunbreaker. I have to have all tanks at max. I'll get all my tanks to max, and I'll get Ninja up to 80 as well. But if I have no interest in the job, I'm just not going to level it up. You know, I'm not a completionist. I want to play what's fun, and you should too. Play what you enjoy and what's fun, and fuck what anybody else says, okay? Fuck the meta. It's irrelevant. And get ready, as I said earlier, get ready for those, you know, those patches coming in that there may be some jobs that aren't fun, and I'm confident that Square is going to address that, because they did in Stormblood. They addressed the jobs that just straight weren't fun as best they could during the course of that expansion, and they're much faster at doing it than, I don't know, for example, World of Warcraft, where, a good example, Legion. It took them like 6 months to make the Blood Death Knight have one ability back that was like the core of their fucking rotation for survivability, which is Icebound Fortitude, and make it so the only defense that a Blood DK had wasn't getting removed instantly by dots. It took them like 6 months to figure that out, and they had like an 8-month long beta and an even longer alpha. So yeah, count your blessings. Square's really good at that, and they're really awesome about all this stuff. So anyway, guys, I'm interested to know what your opinions are about what jobs you're going to main, the changes that you found about the said jobs. Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Are you apprehensive? Are you not sure how it's going to be? Me personally, I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to get my hands on Shadowbringers. I've taken that whole week off. I'll be streaming Shadowbringers every day the week that it's out, starting with early launch on the 28th. So speaking of my Twitch stream, guys, I really, really appreciate the huge amount of support I've been getting over the last few weeks on my Twitch, the follows, the subs. I really, really appreciate the subs here on YouTube. It just melts my heart. You know what I mean? Just melts it. But anyway, guys, speaking of my stream, tomorrow during my stream, I will be giving away a copy, possibly 2 copies of Shadowbringers. How you can do it is there's going to be a raffle at the end of my stream that gives you, that you can, you know, put tickets in. You don't have to spend real money. You put tickets in, and whoever wins a free copy, digital copy of Shadowbringers on either PS4 or PC, depending on what you want. So please tune in. How you get points to spend on the raffle is simply by being in my stream and watching. Following gives you some points. Subbing gives you more points if you want. You don't have to, though. I never require a sub to participate. So, yeah, come hang out, and maybe you'll win a copy of Shadowbringers, maybe you won't. We have a lot of fun on my streams, and Thursday night is usually by the end Raz gets pretty drunk. So it'll be a fun time. Stop by, say hi. If you want to talk about, I'm all open for debate about the changes that have come in, and that's usually the best way to get in contact with me and have a discussion is on my stream, which right now is on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. I will add another day once Shadowbringers comes out. But anyway, guys, sorry to blabber on. This whole video was unscripted. I'm really interested to know your thoughts about all the information after the embargo has been lifted and what you feel about your favorite job or the job you were planning to main. What do you like? What do you don't like? Please, comments down below. But thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support. And as always, my friends, keep it real.